Go ahead and fire it up, Chambrielle.
Are we live?
We're live. Better than never ends. Better than every day.
Oh.
Chambrielle, I'm telling you, tomorrow.
We are ready. We are ready for you.
Ready for you, teetotaler.
Yeah. Let's have her lovely face up there.
Ooh, lovely face.
Lovely
Hello,
face.
lovely face, Dr.Good. Dr.Good, you are allowed to talk.
Okay, can you hear me?
We're about to do the show intro, so we'll be ready to go.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Crew, it is Monday morning.
No, it's Wednesday.
It's Friday morning.
It's Wednesday.
Oh, all right. It must be Wednesday because we've got Dr.
Dr.
Good
of the Ask Dr. Be Good show.
She's on Wednesday mornings with us, our public education expert.
Woo.
Everything we need to know pub ed, and she is out there advocating. And
Absolutely.
Love that. Good morning, Dr. Good.
Good morning, everyone.
Good,
How are you?
good morning. We're well. And the great thing about Dr. Good is she's teaching you how to advocate and how to help. You know, if you're a parent, you know, where do you go? Well,
You go to charter schools.
you go to Ask Dr. Be Good. You go to Legacy.
I'm sending them all to charter schools. Well, no, in all seriousness, Dr. Good, truly education in the public sector has really faced some monumentous challenges.
Yes.
And teachers and the principals and administrators and superintendents and boards have had to figure out how to work around a pandemic. Did you ever see yourself in your lifetime having to deal with this?
No, it was not on anybody's radar. I mean, that every once in a while you'd hear talk about that, right? But it was just something from a movie or a book. And so, but now, not only did we make our way through it, and I said this last week on one of your posts for one of your shows, when Dr. Clothier was on, and I had written that I thought that they should really hand over the vaccine, the putting out the vaccines to the schools, because we did such a great job in getting
Yes.
out the meals and the devices to kids within a week or two, right?
Y'all are like Chick-fil-A. Y'all get it done in a quick manner.
And so somebody else said that. I was on a training a couple nights ago, and they said the same thing. They really should hand over the handing out of the vaccines to the schools. We did such a great job. And I'm thinking, I said that.
Okay.
So, think about that. If they gave us the vaccines and let the school nurses and the school clinics become a vaccine giving center, think about how rapidly we could deploy those vaccines, not only to adults, but also to kids.
Well, and it's interesting that we're having that discussion because really, if you look at all of the sectors, the educational sector is the only one that is truly prepared to do something like that based on what happened last spring break.
Yeah.
Well, and so here is how we have evolved. We have evolved to not only being able to deploy at a moment's notice, not only meals and devices and packets if needed. You don't hear about that as much anymore, but we can go virtual at the drop of a hat, right?
Right.
Some districts went virtual because of ice days on Monday, right? And so that's sort of almost a normal state of being now, that we are able to switch lanes and switch gears very quickly. And so why not think of the schools and the clinics in the schools as a place to possibly be a deployment of vaccine center? And so I don't know how many of you are curious about whether parents are willing to let their kids get the vaccine, but I've got an article here that talks that 60% of parents would allow their K-12 child to get the COVID vaccine.
60? 60?
60.
Wow.
I'd be curious of the audience here in the comments if they are willing at this point, because we're only a month in, folks. We're a month into the deployment
Right.
of vaccines, and would you be willing to let your child get the vaccine, even if you haven't gotten it? By the way, let's say, would you put yourself first as the adult and the one who might get it first? because it says in the article by the National Parents Union, it says that, of course, 60% would, 25% wouldn't, and 15% are still undivided. This was undecided. This was in late December. Parents with higher incomes are slightly more likely to allow their K-12 student to get it. And 75% of those surveyed who are Democrats said they would allow, versus 56 Republicans would allow their kids to be taken the
Vaccinated.
vaccine. And as an aside, isn't it interesting now that we check to see Democrat versus Republican? We used to not see that.
Right.
Now we have to check whether Democrat or Republican.
I think that is an interesting statistic. I can say that. Drink some more coffee, Kathy. But if you look at it, it's usually you had vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers kind of a thing. So you had those were the groups. Now shows the further divide in our country that we are even looking at vaccinations for our kids through the eyes of Republicans or Democrats.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And so when asked what it would take for parents to send their kids back to school, 50% said they're not going to send it back until the vaccine is available to the public. And of course, one would have to understand, what does that mean, the public? Because it sort of already is, but it's not, right? It's
Yeah.
Level, we're now to the 1Bs, which are the 65 and over or people with comorbidities. And even that is not being deployed in a structured way that people trust. I'm seeing a lot of posts where people are literally all day trying to find a place to get the vaccine, and they can't, even though they qualify as a 1B.
Yep.
So then they still want parents still want schools to send kids home for 14 days if they're exposed, and to limit the kids in the common areas and so forth. So COVID is still on the minds of our parents, very much so. They're still very, very worried about it. Matter of fact, I will tell you that only 15% of our kids at Lakesea are back because there was that fear after the 2-week break that many of our family members or their loved ones might have been exposed. And sure enough, we've had several staff members who have called in with either that they have it or they were exposed to it. So there's still concerns out there as far as whether one can just have regular school yet, and you really can't.
Well, and I know even just at my son's school, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I read the emails when I get them, and it's almost like the same amount of kids who are in school and who are not in school. It's almost like every other email is a kid that's doing complete remote learning gets COVID, and they have to notify you. Now, they don't give names or anything like that, obviously, but they have to notify you if it's an at-home complete learner or if it's an in school, and then they would further contact a parent if your child was in close proximity to one of the other kids on campus, or if it was a teacher. So it's interesting. So I'm still seeing, and I think again that may be from that whole Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's together, that there's more emails coming across right now than there were, but it's 50-50 on if they're at school or not. So I think that maybe kind of go back to what Dr. Clothier had talked about, which is that family time together, unfortunately, was, like it or lump it, it was going to bring the numbers up.
Dr. Good, just to give a relationship to the COVID vaccine, right? We can easily compare to the flu vaccine or the influenza vaccine, right? And it's interesting that even today, with as much education as we have and as much information as we have, and we know that there's no active flu virus in the flu vaccine, only 49.2% of Americans got the influenza vaccine last year.
So that was, prior to COVID.
2018, 2019.
Okay, so prior to COVID.
Prior to COVID. And here's what's interesting. Children between the ages of 6 months and 17 had 62.6% vaccine or vaccinated. And so it's interesting that children are more apt to be vaccinated.
I always made sure, adults. And still to this day, make sure that my kids, I may put off getting the flu shot myself just because I'm like, I need to do this. I'm not buying my Walgreens or whatever. With the kids, it was always get the kids vaccinated first. kind of that, which I thought was interesting, what you were saying earlier, okay, if the parents aren't going to get it, are they going to put their kids first? And also because you're more likely with kids, they're in that pediatrician's office on a regular basis, or at least for their annual physical. And so a lot of times, depending on when your child's annual well visit is, it might be during the time that the flu vaccines, going, out there. And so you take advantage of being in the office then.
So, but here's if I may, Dr. Good, because, Kathy and I have this relationship where she helps me expand my thoughts. Yeah, before I finish them.
We need Dr. Good on our show for an hour and a half solid.
We need to
she's
mediate
she's
between
like, I
the
have
two
a
of
real
us.
job.
So just real quick, because I'd like to get your reaction to this, because I know how very, very good you are with cross-culturing and ethnicity when it comes to certain types of demos on certain things, and vaccines have them as well. So by race and ethnicity, 51% of non-Hispanic white people will get the vaccine, compared with 44.7% of non-Hispanic black population. And amongst the Hispanic people, 46.4% got vaccinated.
Is that with COVID or with flu? That's
Influenza.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we're not
So
going to have
one
any
of the-
true numbers with COVID yet. This is just a good relationship.
So one of the things I read just yesterday, and I should have kept it and I didn't, and that is the African American population is very reluctant to be willing to go and get the shot because of past historical mistreatment by the government. And what this article said is to remind the African American community that the COVID shot was actually created by an African American scientist.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so-
Okay.
Yeah, and so that to help alleviate some thought that this is, like a continuation of the abuse that some African American communities suffered back in the 20th century. But the other thing I started to say about how schools have developed is that schools are now mini clinics. We now have teledoc, for example, at Legacy, and this is not just a Legacy thing. We may be an early implementer, but early on, we were able to partner with a clinic and get our staff to be able to take once a week tests using our insurance. So in essence, it costs the employee nothing, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
So they were able to go weekly, but now those tests are in-house. We now have those tests in our clinic. So we are able to give kids the test in our schools. And the over and above that, we now have teledoc to offer our staff and our parents. So there's
wow.
two ways of doing this. One is if your child, and here's the deal breaker, if your child does not have fever, if your child does not have any fever at all, and of course we check that when they come in, right?
Right.
But has other symptoms of common cold, flu, or possibly COVID, then they can go directly to the clinic and the nurse will activate our teledoc there and get in contact with a doctor who will go through the protocol and let the nurse at the school know which test to give the child. We can test for strep throat, flu, or
Oh my
COVID.
gosh. That's
and have the
fantastic.
Rapid response test. And we can even, and this is going to blow some of your minds, those of you that know schools, we even are allowed to have aspirin now for headaches. Remember, if you had a headache at school, you couldn't bring your own headache medicine.
No.
All that stuff. No over the counter. We're now, with under doctor's orders, with parent permission, able to give headache medicine. So you can hear how
She blew my
medicine
mind.
is evolving and being forced to evolve faster because of COVID. Now, let's say the child does have fever and shouldn't come to school because, like I said, that's the deal breaker. You can't bring your fever to school. You can access the teledoc at your home and have that same courtesy with the doctor. Even if you don't have insurance, they will try to work something out with the families that don't have insurance. So really, more and more, we are able to, as a school district, service our families from a social, emotional, and health standpoint to where they can then be healthy enough to start learning, right? So, I mean, goodness gracious, this has evolved
Wow.
so much. And it reminds me of my very first doctorate class. And we're going back to 2004. And very first textbook, very first classroom, I read in one of the first chapters, until a school can have an intrapersonal relationship with the parent, intrapersonal, not inner, intra,
Right.
which means our relationship is so strong with the parent that when they lose their job, if they don't have food, if there's a crisis in the home, the school is the first place
They think
that
to
that
turn.
family will
Right.
turn to. Um, if we can get our families to that point, then when we help meet their needs and get them through that crisis, and then we come and say, oh, by the way, because of this, your child's had several absences. We now need them to attend tutoring and Saturday school. The parent is more likely to say, oh, heck yeah, you help me,
Right.
I'm going to help you. My child will be there. And so you see the type of relationship that we need to get with some, especially our families who live in poverty, who tend to have obstacles that come with poverty. And so if we can get parents to be thinking of us as partners in their crisis resolution, then we will be able to help their child and form the long term instructional relationship that we need with them because we've helped the family meet their social emotional health needs.
Wow. I mean,
Well,
that's huge.
Dr. Good, I didn't mean to laugh when you said that,
You could tell
but
I
I
was
was
shocked.
looking for this explosive head thing to come up on the screen because Kathy went, when you said that,
What?
wow. And I mean, you should have seen the expression. I mean, it
Well,
was I was like, I couldn't help myself. It was one of those instant knee jerk reactions.
Wow, that's a huge change.
You should have seen her eyes, her
I was
little
like,
cheeks
what?
bubbled up. She went, wow. And I'm just like,
The schools continue to be sort of the whipping boy of some of the masses, not everybody, but we tend to still be thought of as this archaic, old time, stuck in the 20th century machines, when in fact that's not us anymore. We can't be that anymore. Effective school districts have to be more than just an instructional vehicle. We have to recognize that if we don't meet the needs of our parents, then we're not going to get from their children what we need instructionally, right? And so
Absolutely.
we've all evolved into that understanding, but we're not given credit for it. And so thank you for letting me sort of brag a little
That's
bit about
awesome. Yeah,
what
that's
not only
amazing.
this is not just a legacy thing. Please let me go on record by saying that
Right.
legacy, although always an early implementer, there are others who also are out there doing these great things for kids, recognizing that we have to be more to our families.
so Dr.
Wow.
Good, if I may, are you guys also, before all of this happened, were you administering like the vitamin B12 shot to your staff by any chance?
No.
So there are several schools, public schools, their school nurse will, for
Do
free to the teachers,
B12?
offer the vitamin B12 shot.
Oh, I want to go there.
And so I just didn't know if
Huh.
Legacy had done that in the past or any of the other schools you've been affiliated
It seems
with.
like that would be expensive.
I would think that now that we've opened the door to having in-house testing, that opens the door to a whole lot of other wellness opportunities. Um, we have, as part of our insurance, and Legacy is one of the few districts, we pay 100% of our employees' basic medical. And as part of that wellness, we encourage them to go to the Blue Cross Blue Shield wellness site, and they get points if they go online and they do certain things and take part in the wellness programs, and by getting points then they can buy things, and so we have all these wellness programs, plus we have the superintendent's wellness corner every week where I give them articles that have to do with how to stay healthier and so forth. So we work really hard at trying to keep our staff healthy and sane, and not only professionally developed in the instructional way, but also mind, body, and spirit. Right? It
Right.
all goes together, and you all have heard this. You've heard it from your Tuesday mental health moments. You got to do all of that to be able to stay sane in this insane world, right?
That's so true. I mean, truer words couldn't be spoken. And you've talked about this, about, kind of COVID blessings now, and we're not dismissing the fact that we know people have lost loved ones and people have had just tragic, horrible situations with COVID. So we're not making light of that. But, you mentioned, okay, on Monday, for some folks, because there was some snow and ice, they were able to do remote virtual learning. So nowadays, really, there's no longer a snow day for kids because they can go online. Or I really liked, and I know this from both my kids having had strep or had something that lasted a week. Well, after the first couple of days when the fever's finally broke and they're feeling better, but they're not quite there, and the doctor says, yeah, keep them out of school a couple more days. Well, but really, then they're playing video games or come and saying, Mom, can we go do this or can we go do that? Well, now you can stay at home until you're 100% better to go back. But if you're feeling 80, 75, 80%, you can get online and do your work. And then that way you're not as far behind. I remember like the times that the kids missed 3 days or, oh my goodness, the times we missed an entire week. You're forever trying to catch up with that homework.
Yeah. Yes, or you're going to school picking up the packet.
You got it. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, those days are pretty much behind us. Now, what I did see a district like DeSoto or someplace down south where they did get a nice amount of snow, they actually did take a snow day because they knew how unusual that would be for kids and they wanted to make that an experience.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So, you will have occasionally some of that. It just, we are just living in interesting times, and we as school districts need to be given more credit for making
Yes.
our stakeholders really. Our work is to make them more involved, more engaged in not only the learning but in their health, so that we can have a healthier population, not only of staff but of families as well.
Agree.
So,
Agree.
Dr. Good, what do we have to look forward to this Sunday?
Well, we have a little bit more on advocacy. The legislative session started yesterday.
Oh, yes. What do we need to look for on that?
Well, the good news is, and I think I sent this to you all, we don't have a $4 billion deficit. We only have a $1 billion
Right.
deficit. And so that takes a little bit of pressure off, but $1 billion is $1 billion. So
Right.
they're going to want to take some cream off a lot of different areas. And so any help that we public educators can get from our parents, from our even vendors and our people who love public education, if we can get them to understand how easy it is to pop a quick email to our legislators to help them remember how important it is not to cut public education. That should be the very last thing they cut. So we'll be chatting more about that. And I've got some articles on the attendance. Some of you may say attendance again. Attendance is everything,
huge.
folks. Attendance means not only the money for schools, but it means kids being in school learning, and it means administrators not chasing after kids. It means not spending time in tribunals. All of that. It's an octopus. The word attendance is just it's this encompassing thing that if we don't get it right, it costs us time, it costs us money, it costs us instruction, it could cost kids a year in school of
Right.
a grade level. There's all sorts of ramifications. So we're going to start looking at some of the research that's coming in about that and what we can do about it, because that cannot be something that falls off the radar. It's just too important.
That's so true. Well, it's the difference, and you've mentioned this on our show before. If the kid gets an education and they go either to trade school or they go into a job where they're entry level and they can work their way up, or they go to college, at the end of the day, at age 25, at age 35, at age 45, if the right thing was done in school, then you've got a taxpayer versus a tax user. You pay for it at some point.
And it's also military, by the way. And in Texas,
Yes,
we have
yes.
military, vocational, and college. And if we can get them in one of those three, then we can be assured that possibly they're not going to graduate into a minimum wage job.
Right.
The minimum wage jobs were created for part-time workers. They were not created for full-time, but we do have full-time workers in there, and they struggle. And
Right.
so it's our job to try to get that. Now, the majority of our kids, especially at Legacy, where we have so many free and reduced lunch kids that we're now at 100% free and reduced I think we're at 84% as a district. We're 89% in one of our locations. So that means that we have the opportunity then to give free and reduced lunch just free lunch to every child who comes to Legacy, so that that's one thing they don't have to worry about.
Right.
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 So,
And that's huge.
yeah, it is. But the ability to be able to have enough money to get these kids to college, career, military readiness is not only the right thing to do for families and kids, but it also, we're held accountable. In Texas, we have to monitor those kids for 2 years after they graduate.
Right.
And if too many of our kids go straight into the workforce and not into one of those other three, career, university, or
Military.
vocation, university, or military,
Right.
then the school district gets dinged for that. We have a certain amount of college career readiness that we must meet. So, there's lots of reasons why we need to make sure these kids graduate into an opportunity for later strong employment.
Right. Absolutely. Well, great information as always.
Sounds good. Looking forward to Sunday morning. Of
Great
course, we
information.
have our replay on Thursday at 6 p.m.
Yes, we do. So you'll
So
see last
tune
Sunday's
in
show
to Ask Dr.
this
Good.
Thursday.
Yeah, last Sunday we talked about virtual school and that phenomenon that's new. That's a COVID created.
Yes, that's a fascinating show. I was engaged that whole show. I highly recommend that if you didn't catch the Sunday show, catch the replay on Thursday.
And go ahead and pop us a question about it. Even if it wasn't live, we still answer questions later on because we get notified.
Love it.
As you know, you get notified, I get notified. So go ahead, if you listen and you've got questions, we'll get those answers to you pretty fast.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Be
everyone.
Good.
Thanks, Dr. Good.
Have a blessed day.
You too. Later.
All right. Interesting.
Great info.
So
Great info as always.
Got to talk about the old private industry versus private citizen on social media. Guess what?
What?
Well, I went on to share our show.
Right.
Like normal, right?
Right.
And I was stopped.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I was only allowed to share to 5 groups. And now I exceeded my number of abilities to share.
That's new.
That is brand new as of today. Because Monday I shared with no problem.
Right.
To all. So now it's not even if you get reported for being abusive, now they're just not going to let you do it.
I wonder, and let's test this. A couple hours from now, after the show's already posted and it's out there, if you're able to share it then, or if it's like a 5 in a 24-hour period, or what the case is. That's very interesting.
I think it's going to be per post.
Very interesting.
Is what I think it's going to be.
So then we're going to encourage our members of the crew, share it on your personal page, or share it through if you have a messenger group or some kind of group you're a part of. Help us push that out there. Make sure you go and follow and like JP. We're JPK.
We're the
Broadcasting
JPK Broadcasting
Network now on Facebook.
Well,
but you still get this little cartoon picture that pops up. So,
but you also want to go now on YouTube. We've back
got
on YouTube.
Yes, that's right.
At
That's
JPK
right.
Broadcasting Network. And it's live right now on YouTube. And so
Nathan said your show is too conservative. LOL.
Well, I just think it's interesting that all of a sudden we go from you have to be reported to being abused to now they've tightened it down so much where you only get 5 shares.
That's interesting.
2 groups. I mean, I'm not even talking about individuals. I'm talking to groups. And so clearly disseminating information that would be relevant to those
I'm
groups.
anxious to see what all. There is so much going on out there. I know, like, Twitter stock plummeted. I've got so many friends who, see, and I was not, I think I have a Twitter account from one of the companies I consulted for years ago that I haven't been active on that in forever. I just followed it because I was part of this consulting group or part of this company and had to see what they posted. But, so I'm not a Twitter person, but I have so many friends who they said I needed to make a statement. They said, Facebook, I've just got too many folks I'm engaged with. And one of my most conservative friends that I have on Facebook, he mentioned in an argument with somebody and said, if you're thinking about getting off Facebook, until there's a platform that people can, go over to and they can, have the same kind of ease that you have, usually ease that you have with Facebook. You didn't have much ease today. But he said it's a great way to engage people and let people know about things you can do to stand up for we the people. So I think it's interesting. So most of my friends who are looking at the choice of making a statement on, going against what social media is doing right now, even though they're a private sector company, I get it. They can do what they want to do as a private sector company, unless you're a monopoly. But they're choosing to get off Twitter right now. And I mean, I have tons of friends who have gotten off Twitter who were big tweeters and Twitter people. So it's going to be, money talks at the end of the day. So does Twitter, with their stock plummeting, if it continues to, then do they go back and are they more conservative friendly? Is Facebook going to be more conservative friendly? Is anybody boycotting Amazon too?
Well,
I'd like to know.
There was a drop in their stock, a dramatic drop.
I think on Friday.
At 12 p.m. And by 1:15, it was back up again.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the. I'm looking
and
at
Elizabeth
it now.
in Arizona. Hi, Elizabeth. Love you. She has a question. She said, "What do you mean, JP, about sharing to groups?" So explain the group thing versus like us sharing to Elizabeth.
So a lot of people ask me to be a part of their group, right? Whether it's the Jeep Club
Back
or
the Blue, yeah.
DFW Teachers Lounge.
Pray for Trump. I mean, we're
conservatives,
both conservatives for Trump.
Yeah, Collin County Republican Party.
Yes.
And so I've got all these groups that we send out to, and it's about 400,000 people.
Right.
And then we have military groups that we send out to about 4 million people. And so we share out to these groups, and these groups are generally monitored by an administrator who will say, let your post in or not let your post in. And so I've got several groups that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they admit my post into their group so their people can watch what we're doing or choose not to. And so they only will, and we've got, I think, we've got like 72 groups that we post to, and I was only allowed to post 5. And today, for the first time ever.
Yeah, like our show. Now, not all of our, some of our shows are, not every show do we send everything to all of the groups that we belong to. Like, for example, we don't send, if you've got a show that's a legal show, you might only send to 25 of those groups. But we're always sharing to more than one group. And more than 5.
Well, we've always shared about 72 groups, so I'm going to have to figure out that. But just to give you an idea,
very interesting.
So yeah, Twitter closed down at more than 6% for the first time. They lost roughly in market share about $5 billion in their market value. Is what they lost.
That's a lot of money.
Well, it's a lot of money to you and I. To Twitter, it's not.
Gosh.
Because their market
a drop
value.
in the bucket?
Correct. Their number of people that they lost was only a drop in the bucket. It was like 8%. And so it's very interesting. Forbes put an article out that says that Twitter is the worst company on planet Earth. Here's how to bet against the stock.
Really?
And that's what Forbes put out a day ago. So
that was just yesterday. Wow.
Yes. So very, very interesting stuff going on there. I just thought it was interesting that now I'm being monitored. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, we are being restricted, which impacts our business model. So it's going to be interesting going forward there. Going to talk to our attorney about that because this is what we do for our business. And so I'm assuming there's going to be some way to get a hold of somebody at Facebook and talk to them about this.
That's
Probably
interesting. And I wonder, and here's the thing. Okay, benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just some weird glitch this morning.
This ain't no glitch.
Benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, okay.
Just,
Whatever.
say it.
It's Facebook. They don't get the benefit of the doubt with me. But I do want to push you over and have you subscribe at our YouTube page, JPK Broadcasting Network. If you can get over there and subscribe, we did move pages so that we could go live again, and it also represents the entire network, and so you can catch us live there. You can also catch all of the chatting that goes on as well at YouTube on the other platforms as well. So,
and we're getting ready to add because we're kind of taking care of our own, building our own server, doing some really cool things here at the JPK Broadcasting Network. getting ready to add, starting February, March, April, we will be adding more and more ways for people to get a hold of us, especially since you've got folks who have left Facebook. Now, Cleo is hilarious. She's like, oh, and I want to read this verbatim. Oh, and good morning, Lisa. Cleo says, I'm not leaving Facebook. I'm going to be a jerk and make them permanently ban me. So there you go. There's that.
Well, and Nathan Wynn makes a good point. You can literally watch porn on Twitter, but mention the Second Amendment in the wrong way, and you're a public nuisance.
And you're an instigator. You're
Right.
insurrectionist.
Well, I guess
craziness.
I guess here's the big question, right? Do we see Twitter going away like MySpace did? I mean, MySpace is still there, but
Is it?
yeah, it's
I was
still
never.
there.
Were you ever on MySpace?
Oh gosh, yes, of course.
I wasn't. Well,
See, I was playing with
I was
Linux.
late to the Facebook game. I
Right.
didn't get on until I was 50.
Yeah, I was playing on bulletin boards when they were Linux based, and so
Oh, because you've been a big gamer.
Correct.
You've always been into the whole gaming thing. So I would
Correct.
imagine anywhere there was a place to chat
Correct.
or do whatever you could with games.
And that
which
during-
we do have a show starting this sometime this upcoming season that will be a gaming show that JP will be leading, and it's going to be interesting because you're going to have
the oldies
and oldies
Against the
and then
against the
against the
youngies.
youngies.
So when Chambrell's looking at me with those big eyes, but yeah, you're a part of that, dude. You better gear up and get ready as we go Fortniting it.
Oh,
goodness gracious.
Ms. Pac-Man.
But
When you
then
do
I'm-
the episode where you're doing the old stand-up game,
Oh, yeah.
I'm your girl.
Well, but then we're going to make them also play some of the old school games as well. So they're going to have to figure it out. Because I'm a purist. I'm a game purist, man. I love platforms.
Well, and we do have a number of new shows that are going to be starting during season 2. Super excited about those shows. So if you've got a show, come and talk with us. We've also are working with a couple of businesses where we're creating some advertising podcasts for them, and you can come and use the studio. We're doing this at a fantastic rate, and we can help you produce webinars, podcasts.
And getting ready to do that.
You can do your own entertainment show. If you want to come in and do, an hour once a week, or however you want to, break that up, and you think you've got a show in you, come on in. We'll whiteboard it. We'll talk with you. We'll see if there's something there to produce, and I'm just real excited about growing the network. And thank you to the crew for helping us do that.
Absolutely. We've got big discussion points coming on. We should have Chuck Wright joining us.
8:30.
at 8:30.
8:30. He
Race Across America.
Yes,
is what we're going to be talking about.
Yes,
and
we've got they've got a great sale going on through Friday that we really want the crew to take advantage of.
listen, you got to stay away from the Colombian coffee.
Oh, it's also I had to do 2 different asthma medicines this morning.
I got you.
I'm not even halfway done with this, honey. So but when this gets empty,
When
that's
the
when
honey-
you should be very scared.
When the honey comes out, I know we're amped up.
And guess what? And because I was amped up when I left the house, guess who I forgot? Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Doggone
I'm
it.
going to bring my potato gun, and
I'm
I'm going
going
to
to
blow
put-
up the unicorn.
I'm going
Because
no,
Grogu
not
has.
funny.
If you don't bring Grogu,
not funny. I'm
I'm
bringing him in.
I'm bringing clowns.
Oh no, that's not funny.
I get my
Not-
half, you get your
no,
half.
that's
I'm
not
bringing
funny.
clowns if you
I
don't bring
get
Grogu. I will draw some tape right down the middle.
I am sending my husband a message right now and saying, "Do not let me forget Baby Yoda."
Because this unicorn's looking tattered.
You know why? Guess who's been getting a hold of this? I've got a big bag that I bring all my
Kira.
stuff in from the radio station. Well, so just she'll get in my bag if it's on a chair or something, if I don't put it away immediately when I get back home from the studio. And my mom got me a new unicorn. Maybe I should bring that one in. She also got a hold of that one. Shocking. So the other day, she's greeting me, and I'm like, "Oh, look at you, sweet little thing." And I was like, "Oh, she was kind of up on my back, and she was on the couch, but had her little paws on my back." I'm like, "You're just so cute." And I had, my purse and my bag and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm like, "What do you have?" Oh, she wasn't greeting me. She went to get the unicorn out of my bag.
Oh, it's time to play.
She's like, "Oh, and you didn't even notice that lady," and just ran off. So yeah, I know. So I've got to bring Grogu in
Yeah.
because he makes noises.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing clowns.
He makes noises.
Yeah, don't
No,
bring
that's
the
not
Grogu.
funny.
I'm bringing clowns.
Okay, I've got to say this. So, okay, my husband and I always New Year's Day watch the Twilight Zone marathon. We just love it. Interesting book. Mike Bronski, dear friend of both mine and JP, gave us a really good book a few years back called Christianity in the Twilight Zone. And it's interesting. Ever since I've read that book, I've noticed lots of biblical references and all kinds of stuff. But anyways, there's the episode where the little kid thinks, he's like, don't make me think bad thoughts. And he could wish people out into the cornfield or wish people into different forms and do all this jacked up stuff. It was like this 6-year-old kid who controlled this whole entire town. And I'd completely forgotten about this, but one of the guys he gets mad at in the town, he turns him into a clown Jack-in-the-Box, which is like a real bad combination when you have Jack-in-the-Box and clown. And he turned him into a clown Jack-in-the-Box. That was so messed up. No.
Oh, was that a different one?
Yeah. Well, did we talk about talking? No, I talked about probably
doll.
ventriloquist
Talked about the talking
dummies, which they're Jack. They're on my list. But Talking Tina, which she's like, I'm Talking Tina. And she's like, I love you. And this, I'm Talking Tina, and I don't like you. And then she told Telly Savalas, who was Kojak. Wasn't he Kojak? Because he was the dad in that episode, or the stepdad. And
Telly Savalas.
Yeah, and she said, and she's like, I'm Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you.
You're funny. I need to bring
and
the clown.
she did.
I sent you a link.
Sorry.
Would you bring it up, please?
Back to the First Amendment.
Well, I'm gonna bring a clown that says, "Hi, Kathy.
No.
I miss you."
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Shut it down.
Well, then you better bring Grogu
Shut
in,
it
or
down.
I'm bringing it.
I'm texting my husband right now.
Yeah, you
Do
better
not let me
text him
forget.
Big news in the United States. I know that you're thinking, well, why is this big news? Well, because it is. It's the first time in 67 years that the feds have executed a woman. I don't know if you remember this back in the day.
Goodness.
And I bring this up because it was back in the day, and it shows you how long the appellate process is.
Wow. What year was that?
2004, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at the
Wow.
article. If you'll go down, I believe I have it on there. She was executed at 1:31 a.m. Again, first female executed in 67 years. They tried again last-minute ditch effort to stop her from being executed in the U.S. Court of Appeals. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court cleared the way. She had committed a murder of another woman who was 8 months pregnant.
Yes.
And this made huge news back in the day.
I think there was like a Lifetime movie about this. There's been several documentaries.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this was a horrific, just horrific.
If you could go back towards the top for me, Breeks, I think it has on there when this happened. But again, I do believe it was 2004 is when all of this came about. Let's see. Hold on right there. What's that say? Nope, that's the execution. Yeah, for some reason, I'm not seeing it. So, but I believe it was 2004 when this took place. And then at 52 years of age, Lisa Montgomery has been executed for that murder of the mom and the 8-month-old baby. So, yeah, very, very interesting how things come about. I guess I point this out for two reasons. One, even with all the political climate, the criminal justice system continues to move on.
Yep.
And I guess my point is that we are going to continue to work. Taxes are going to continue to be collected. The DOJ is going to continue to do their job. The FBI is going to continue to do their job. Homeland Security is going to continue to do their job. The FDA is going to continue to do their job. And so it's just one of those things that the system doesn't slow down or stop. And so, of course, this happened, I believe it was in Missouri, is where it happened at the prison there, the federal penitentiary. And again, tried to do a last-minute ditch effort to stop her from being executed and was unsuccessful. And again, at 1:31 a.m., she was executed. And so, and it was lethal injection, by the way. Some people may have thought it was by the gas chamber, but the last time that was used was December 1953.
I was going to say, that's been a long time since that was a form of execution.
Right, and that was Bonnie Brown Hetty, who was put to death in the gas chamber, by the way. Of course, I don't know if you remember that, but that was her role in a kidnapping case and the murder of a multimillionaire auto dealer's 6-year-old son. So that was the Rosenberg case. So very, very interesting history there. Thank you, Bree, for putting that up there. But just thought it would be something that was a kind of a bring you back to what happened then.
Yep.
And where does it end? Sometimes
Well,
you never get to see that.
And I always like when we're able to go back to stories that were from, a year ago or 2 years ago and do a follow up where there's something that's brought to fruition. And this is where, and like there was a big FBI and DOJ press conference yesterday that I caught on TV, and they were talking about the people who went in, stole things from the Capitol, had zip ties on them, things of that nature, and they were saying because there are some people who are like, okay, why isn't anything being done? Well, things are being done, but it has to be done in the right way. And this is something you and I have talked about a bajillion times, especially you being a retired JP, Justice of the Peace. When you're investigating things and you want to truly bring a person or a group of people to justice, you got to make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. So when you get in there, even though it's obvious that someone's guilty, the case doesn't get thrown out. And so I think the DOJ and the FBI, what I could gather from what they were saying yesterday was justice will be served. These people will be brought in. This is going to happen. It's going to take some time. And hey, by the way, if you've got video, if you've recognized somebody who was shown doing something illegal in the Capitol the other day, please alert us and let us know. So sometimes things, look at this. I mean, how many years later? And the woman was finally brought to justice. Sometimes it takes a while, but we don't want to lose sight of our court system, even though there are flaws, is still the best way of bringing somebody to justice.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so here's the thing too, as we shift into this next piece of conversation, which is that the government continues to move on. Nancy Pelosi continues to push for an impeachment process, a second impeachment. Last time that was seen was in 1798, when the House had planned a second impeachment. So that hasn't happened in a while. Of course, the curiosity has to be, why this big push? Is it real? Did he commit an impeachable offense? First of all of the legal experts that you listen to have said he has not committed an impeachable offense. Number one. Number two, what is coming out of this is that the whole reason and purpose for it is, of course, politically driven. Nancy Pelosi wants to ensure that the president can't run for president again and try to prevent him from running for any office.
That's what it's all about at the end of the day. That, and I know you had a discussion with somebody, as have a number of us. You've got people who did not listen to the speech or have not looked at the text from it, who are saying, "Oh, no, he told them to storm the Capitol." No, he didn't.
Not when you've
You've watched
to his
it.
speech.
I've
No.
watched it. If anything, he was a little less intense in his speaking style than he was, say, at some of his rallies. And I'm talking about President Trump. Did not say anything specifically referencing going and trying to cause
Right,
chaos
storm
or
the
break the
Capitol,
law,
right.
storm the Capitol. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and of course, I challenge you to send me the rhetoric out of his speech that said, let's insurrect, let's cause violence. Don't see it, send it to me. There's no reason to argue about it. Just let me see it. But I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Just so that you know, trivia around the coffee table, right? So in 1798, it was the House of Representatives that put through a double impeachment for Tennessee Senator William Blount in the 1790s, by the way. This will be the second time for President Trump in 13 months that they will have tried to impeach him. And again, they plan on going forward with that today. Of course, Senator Mitch McConnell doesn't help the process at all.
Don't even.
And he's decided he's infuriated with the president. And so he has jumped on board with the president
Dems,
needing to resign. Of course, the House yesterday voted on a resolution urging Vice President Pence to act on the 25th Amendment. I think it's hilarious. Designated survivor comes out. they tried to do a 25th Amendment, removal of office.
Oh, is this that show that you're watching?
Yes, of Tom Kirkman.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we've decided we're going to do it. I think Hollywood is driving how we govern.
Oh, God.
Because I don't think Nancy
Have we
Pelosi
become
even
a reality
knew.
TV show?
Oh, I mean, this is hilarious. I don't even think Nancy Pelosi even knew what the 25th Amendment was.
Boy, they are really putting the pressure on Vice President Pence, and he has come out and said, and he's a man of his word. Mike Pence is a man of his word, and he has said, nope, not going to do it.
Well, and who's the idiot that's, look at the idiots that are running the gamut on this. Elon Omar, AOC, Nancy Pelosi.
Is this what you wanted, America?
What's funny is even Chuck Schumer's taking like a back seat to these people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Have you
what
heard
is
much?
his-
Nope.
Well, I haven't seen.
Nope, he's been quiet. Now he's for it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, well, I know that, but I haven't seen any interview feeds come through with him or anything. Maybe I'm not looking for him. I don't know.
Yeah,
But if you really haven't heard. That's interesting. Until you said that, I was like,
he's been kind of quiet.
I think you're right.
Yeah, one of the 4 band of idiots.
That's
has
interesting.
Been kind of quiet.
That's interesting.
Interesting. New Jersey Representative Cheryl is unidentified lawmakers leading an apparent reconnaissance tour prior to the Capitol attack. There's like a 13-minute video on Facebook on Tuesday. And so Representative, and I can't remember, is it Mickey or Mikey Cheryl? She's a Democrat of New Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the article that I sent you. Yeah. Yep.
Well, did you send it to me? You say you send that stuff, but I get it all popping up on my stuff.
I sent it while you were driving in this morning because I
all
thought, okay, that's interesting. So, and I hadn't even had a chance to read it yet.
Well, so it's
Representative Cheryl.
She says that said Tuesday that she witnessed some lawmakers leading people through the Capitol the day before the riot in what looked like a reconnaissance tour, and said members will be held accountable. Again, I love this. The hidden conspiracy door has now opened. Cheryl made her comments during a roughly 13-minute video on Facebook because that's where a congressperson should make their comments about this, is a 13-minute live video release on Facebook.
But it doesn't matter because here's the thing. If you're against conservatives, if you're anti-America, you don't care about the facts, you're going on pure emotion, and you're caught up in all of this, everything, anti-President Trump and all this stuff right now, you're taking to a non-news source.
Yeah.
You're going to social media because you want people to share it 3 million times.
Right.
You want everybody and their dog to see it. Doesn't have to be true.
Well,
Put it out on Facebook.
This is a direct quote. I also intend to see that those members of Congress who abetted him, those members of Congress who had groups coming through the Capitol that I saw on January 5th for reconnaissance for the next day, those members of Congress who incited the violent crowd. So now we got those members of Congress. Those members of Congress that attempted to help our president undermine our democracy. I'm going to see them held accountable. Do you hear that we are going to hold them accountable?
No, it's all me, myself, and I.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Facebook.
Me, myself, and I. There's no I in team. Here's my question. January 5th, she sees this.
Her?
Well, January 5th, she sees this. Did she make a report to the Capitol Police? Did she call?
No.
I mean, I literally, if I heard something, if I were in the Texas State Capitol, which you and I have spent many a days there during legislative sessions, if I'm there and I hear anything that sounds the least bit off, if I hear the word bomb, if I hear the word, attack, or, you can hold, I am going to immediately contact anybody and everybody I know in law enforcement and say, hey, Texas State Troopers, hey, if I were her, she's a congresswoman, okay, why didn't she contact the DOJ or the FBI? Maybe she did. I don't have the facts in front of me. Maybe she did. But I would have said something the day before instead of seeing if something played out. And again, just because you say you saw something or you think you heard something doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Well, I guess she's trying to find her 5 minutes of fame.
I think you're right.
Because here's where you start connecting tissue. How does she know it was a reconnaissance mission?
Well, and reconnaissance is a very strong word to use.
Did they have a sign on their chest that said, "Hi, we're on a reconnaissance mission with our congressman"?
And we came to D.C. and all we got is this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, right? There were several news agencies that sent out a questionnaire to her and wanted to get her on the air, where she's like, "Hey, can you please name the lawmakers and any other details? And could you please let us know how it is that this was a reconnaissance mission and how it was connected to the riots. And then her office, of course, never responded.
I just saw that her office did not immediately respond after hours of emails, after several hours after the email.
And understand that this resolution to Vice President Pence was voted on strictly down party lines.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean,
and we knew it would be. We knew it would be. Bless you, goodness
me.
gracious me! Oh my!
Oh man, allergies are great.
Woo!
Gotta love allergies. And so then, of course, top Republicans are facing calls to resign after backing the impeachment of Trump as well. And again, this whole thing is just, I mean, it is really out there, and it's all being stirred up so that anything that's truthful gets lost.
It gets lost in the mix unless you've got to be. It's all the stuff that's dramatic and that's shocking and it's, oh my gosh, you've got to see this. That's what's getting the press and that's what's getting the people's time right now. And I don't get it, JP. And somebody from the crew helped me out. You hear people are saying it's time for unity. You know, the election's over. You know, even if you're a person who firmly believes there was voter fraud, I do. I'll raise my hand. I'm one of those people. I will. You can't ever convince me otherwise. Maybe you could have if you would have done what Ted Cruz suggested, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. So here, help me out. People are craving unity. If you're getting ready to be in charge, like Nancy Pelosi's going to be speaker again, Biden's going to be president, all this kind of stuff. Why aren't you doing things to move along with the business of we the people? You know, even President Trump had tried to get a $2,000 stimulus check out to people in need. Well, and Mitch McConnell's one who said it was, I think and I'm not quoting him exactly, I'm paraphrasing, said something like the $2,000 stimulus check would just be welfare for the rich, which explain that to me. So if everybody's saying they want unity, do we really, or as society, have we gotten addicted, and maybe during the pandemic, we've gotten addicted to the chaos and the insanity, and it's almost like it's become a really bad reality TV show. And are we addicted to that now? Maybe do we say, oh, we want unity, but why does everybody's digging all the other stuff going on?
Yeah, well, they really don't. Well, and how do we know that, right?
So maybe they don't want unity.
Well, take the institution of Harvard University, okay? Supposedly one of the oldest and most respected universities in our country, right? So I don't know if you know this or not, but Representative Stefanik or Stefanik? She's a Republican out of New York. I think it's Stefanik.
Help us with that. I don't know.
Anyways, she was the only board member that was a Trump supporter on the board for the Harvard Harvard Institute of Politics.
Okay.
Well, there was a petition started by what we're calling now the woke left mob, and to have her removed from the board. And guess what Harvard University did? Removed her from the board because
prematurely, like when her term wasn't even up.
Oh, well, yeah, her term's not up,
and she was removed
from the board. Because she supported the GOP's objection to the 2020 presidential election. And it was because of this left-wing mob. And her direct quote is, Harvard University is bowing to the woke left mob. What I'm starting to find, and it's very, very scary, and of course I've watched way too much television in like the last year. You can't go on no TV for like 25 years, because I hadn't watched TV in forever, to watching TV now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on out there? But when you start looking at this, it's almost like this corporate / political takeover by one side. Because guess what, folks? Apple, Google, Twitter, and Facebook, they control the messaging. And so many Americans have bought off on what they're doing is true, that it doesn't leave for any room for anybody else's opinion. And if you have one, you get scratched out. And as we are, we got hammered. When we were doing the hashtag Trump and all that stuff during the campaign, we went from our 6,000 viewers to like 65 viewers.
Oh, there we go.
There
was one day we were below 25. I was like, well, and then also people are like, oh, I finally found you. Whereas people could easily find us before. Yeah, yeah. And I was actually surprised yesterday. President Trump, and if you didn't get a chance to watch it, I think it's worth watching. Had a really good speech in Alamo, Texas, at the border, talking about the wall, talking about the horrible crime that is now going down because we're able to bring these horrific criminals. These aren't just folks who are trying to get over into America to make a buck. These are folks who are trying to take our kids and selling meth to our kids. Bad people. And he talked to the ICE border patrol and talked to the different folks down there and he said thank you so much for what you've done. Talked about what they've been able to do over their presidency. Talked about the next phase. And really was, I think, making a plea to the next administration saying, please keep border security and securing our nation a priority. And it was interesting because I saw it through a couple of different feeds on Facebook, like, what's the one that Brian Glenn's on? The Right Side.
Right.
Also Breitbart. So saw those on Facebook. I think Diamond and Pearl, I think they also did it. So I thought it was interesting that those videos were allowed to be played, even though they've shut President Trump down. Because I was like, any second now, this feed could go down.
Absolutely.
Even though I think one of them had like 100,000 live viewers.
Yep. Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, and it can happen. I mean, it's happening. And what's scary is it's one message being pushed by one voice, and that voice, it does not represent all of America.
Right.
And yet they are snuffing out any voices that don't agree with their voice.
Right.
And so it's a very scary thing. Those organizations pretty much own the messaging for our country. And if they don't like what you're doing, they just get rid of you. And it's interesting. I made a comment. I had another discussion. I said, why was Minnesota okay? Why was Seattle okay? Why was Oregon okay? Why was Dallas okay? Facebook didn't take anything down. Twitter didn't take anything down. Violence was being professed by several far left-wing organizations. I mean, true violence with videos of the violence. None of that was taken down. But yet, we're going to start snuffing out conservatives from being a part of the conversation. You tell me, socialism isn't on the rise? It's not on our back door? Very, very interesting.
It is. It's right around. It's here.
Do we have Chuck Wright yet from Wreaths Across?
Say that 10 times fast.
Wreaths Across America. Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning,
Good
Chuck.
morning.
Hello.
So
I'm going to bring a little bit of positivity to this very depressing but very true commentary you've been making.
Yes, please lighten the mood. Well, unfortunately, we've got to talk about this stuff. Of course, we've got Chuck Wright, who is one of the co-hosts for Kilroy's Conversation. You can see live every Saturday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the JPK Broadcasting Network. And he's our friend who has brought to us a program that we just dearly love, and that's Wreaths Across America. So let's talk about a fun opportunity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who don't know what Wreaths Across America is, the third Saturday in December, we honor our veterans at our national cemeteries by placing wreaths on the grave sites of our veterans. And so we are in the process of already gearing up for 2021. And we are having a special. And wreaths are very inexpensive. They're only $15. But right now, through Friday, you can get 2 wreaths for the sponsorship of 1. So you get 2 wreaths for $15 instead of just 1 wreath. And so we're trying to kickstart 2021. We are very easy to find. We haven't been censored yet.
Take advantage now.
At dfwwreaths.com. And the Facebook page is the same name, DFW Wreaths. 2 W's in the wreath, in the name Wreath. But it is an incredible program. We brought Kathy and her husband out one year. and they were just blown away by it.
Love it. Just absolutely love it. Yeah. So it's such a, and talk about the mantra, remember, honor, and teach. Talk about how important that is to our next generation.
Well, and the interesting thing, we very much, so when we go out, and one of the things, and we'll talk about it later in the year, but we actually, and this year it'll be December 18th, we actually encourage people to come out, and they'll always ask, well, can we bring kids and grandkids? We encourage that. More than anything, we want the kids and grandkids to come out, because they're no longer teaching us to respect our veterans, to respect our law enforcement, to respect the fire department, and those that serve others. So it is up to us as individuals to continue to share that message. They do not want this message out. And sorry, you've got me all fired up this morning. Everybody needs to go read 1984 and see the applications to
Amen.
what's going on in the country right now.
That's
And we are
so
we are the antidote.
Yep.
And we will start by remembering our veterans.
Love it. Love it. Love
Amen
it. Love
to that
it.
as well. And thank you all. Thank you, Chuck, for what you do for veterans. You both and Andrew White
Yes.
with Kilroy's Conversation and all your guys' extracurricular activities. Just real quick, talk about the Texas Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yes,
and
yes,
any
yes.
events you may have coming up.
Yes.
Gosh, now you put me on the spot. January is kind of a quiet month for us. We're actually working, and Kathy and I talked about this. We are probably going to become another show on the JPK network. So one of the things that we're doing, kind of changing gears. You caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for that one this morning.
Well, and you and I talked about that an opportunity. First of all, and we'll have you on, and we'll have you in studio when you guys really start inviting these veteran-owned businesses to join. But we've talked about the new show that's going to come out of this is going to be literally bringing somebody in studio with Chuck, and he's going to be interviewing them about their veteran-owned business, because like you and I talked about on Saturday morning, if I've got a business that's owned by a veteran and I know that, well, then I might drive two blocks further down the road to go to that business if I'm aware of that.
Absolutely. Texas is home to the largest or second largest, it depends on which study you look at, concentration of veterans in America. It is also home to just over a third of all the veteran and military spouse-owned businesses. So what the Texas Veterans Chamber of Commerce's goal is to become a central hub so that we can help. And our sole mission is to grow those businesses.
Right.
We want to expand their market. We want to make them better business owners. We want to help them find financing, education. We are going to have kind of a bit of a secondary mission. Employers need employees, and we want to be able to help connect those people. So we will be supporting the efforts of a great many organizations to get our veterans employed in that period of transition. We're hoping that a lot of those veterans come out and create entrepreneur-style programs. One of our partners is the University of Texas at Arlington, and they have been rated the #1 university in America for our veterans.
Oh, wow.
And they have an incredible entrepreneur program. There's some absolutely dynamic people over there doing some incredible things, and we just want to grow that footprint. Couple of fun facts about veterans. Veterans make a higher median income than non-veterans. Veteran businesses go out of business at a dramatically lower rate. The rate of business failure is 2 out of every 3. For veterans, it's 1 out of every 8 or 9, and again, depending on which study that you read. And when a business goes out of business, it hurts the entire state economy. People don't get paid, employees don't get paid, vendors don't get paid. It's a break on the whole system. One could almost call it a tax. But we don't want to go down that path this morning.
That's for
So-
another
We're already a little
show.
fired up.
So real quick, Chuck, one of the questions came from Coach Quigley. Where are the wreaths laid?
So DFW Wreaths is supporting the DFW National Cemetery. But there are programs. So if you want to put a wreath in another grave, on another grave site, say my father is buried and interned, I guess you should call it, in San Antonio. So you can actually go to the National Wreaths Across America site and you can find the cemeteries that are supported. But we are raising wreaths right here locally for DFW.
Well, and so the wreaths are laid on right next to the tombstone of, and you can go on and see pictures of this. I'm going to try to pull one up so Chambrielle can put that up on our screen. But they're laid right at, and it's you're in awe. You know, it's one of those things that it takes you aback when you look at all of these, gray tombstones, and then you see these green beautiful wreaths, and when you place that wreath, you're supposed to remember, you're supposed to say the name of the person, and just have a quiet moment. I know the different wreaths I've laid on the years I've been out there, I'll say a prayer over them for their service, over their family and their family who maybe didn't even get to meet them. Very powerful, just so powerful. And for those of us who are non-military, it makes you feel like you're doing something for people who risk their life for you.
It's the National Cemetery, right, Chuck?
Yes.
Out there
In Dallas, yeah.
And
Yes.
is that
But
Grand
we have
Prairie? I can never get
programs.
it right.
Wreaths Across America has programs we have 4 national cemeteries in Texas. We have 4 state cemeteries in Texas. And so by the time, and if I can go back to cross-mingling the Texas Veterans Chamber and Wreaths Across America, this time next year, the Texas Veterans Chamber will support all 8 of those cemeteries in the state of Texas.
Wow.
But there's also, I know, for example, there's a large cemetery in McKinney that has a large veteran population, and they run their own program. And so we try to support all of those. We are not a zero-sum game.
So how do people donate,
so-
Chuck, and buy wreaths to help make sure that we are adorning the grave sites of our veterans with a little cheer?
So as I mentioned before, the website is DFWWreaths, 2 W's.com. And then our Facebook page is DFW Wreaths, just DFW Wreaths. Come on, like the page. You'll find a link there to donate wreaths. Leave a comment. One of the things that we're going to do starting next week is we're going to have people share their stories of who is there and what their relationship is with them. We want these people to come alive. It is said that every man dies 2 deaths. The first when he passes on and gets to meet St. Peter. The second is when the last person says his name out loud. Our goal is that no veteran ever suffers from that second death, if we can do something about it.
Yeah. Well, and
we've got people wanting to get involved.
we've got the link.
So
Yeah, Nathan said his mother was laid to rest out there and he'd like to get involved. So I've put the link on here, and then we're about to share it up on the screen once you go about your merry way, Chuck. He's like,
Chuck,
what?
she's on
And
steroids.
it's a,
Yeah,
it's
too
very
much asthma
very
medicine this
unless
morning.
I'm listening to your show.
Chuck, she's on steroids. Don't mind
Yeah,
her.
too much asthma
When
medicine
Chuck
this
goes on his
morning.
sir, when you
He's
go
like,
on your
"What?"
merry way,
Where did I pull that out of?
Chuck, can you grab a
No,
helicopter?
you know I'm kidding. You know I completely agree with what you were saying before. It is a little bit of a.
It's a gut punch.
It really is.
Yeah,
it
it's a
really
gut
is, and
punch.
it's sad. And it's funny because I heard you mentioning the Harvard University, and what is really sad about all that is the lack of critical thinking that we see in America anymore.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy, that's a very good way to put it.
Well, and here's what I think is interesting. You now have educational institutions like a Harvard University that instead of promoting the marketplace of ideas, and the marketplace is huge. It doesn't mean that we agree with all the ideas. You have them stymieing it and shutting it down to where only one idea, which
One
means
side,
that
yeah.
which means that we're no longer educating the masses. And instead, we're giving directives to the masses on what they get to know versus what all should be available to us so we can create those thoughts ourselves. And so we have no self-thinkers anymore. And that's where we're going. And that's how you take over a republic, is you get rid of the free-thinking self-thinker.
Yep.
And that's what we're doing.
That's
and it's sad.
absolutely true. And interesting enough, here's my tie to Wreaths Across America to try to steer us back on the point of my segment, is when you take these kids and your grandkids out and you talk to them, and it's amazing. These gravestones have stories, and you can share that story. This may be a Korean War vet. This may be a Vietnam era veteran, and you start to share that story with your kids and your grandkids. It resonates with them. It gets them thinking about something that they are maybe not being exposed to at all. And that's, unfortunately, that's what's missing is just expose people to other ideas.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because Coach Quigley said now that he knows that there is a large contingency in McKinney, he wants to take his grandkids out there.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
And so it's interesting that you come around to that.
And Coach, since you're listening and since you talked about McKinney, one of the things that I want to talk about just for a second is I want to plug my friend Colin Kimball, who has done an amazing series of portraits that adorn the McKinney Courthouse. And it's absolutely worth it to go over and spend an hour and look at the faces of these men and women that we have lost, who have given their last full measure of devotion to their nation.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's incredible. It's just incredible to go see this history that's right here in our hometowns. And when I say that, I mean every hometown in America has got something like that. And if it doesn't, my golly, get something started.
Absolutely.
Reach out to Colin Kimball. He'll be happy to help.
And that's Colin Kimball. He's with the North Texas Fallen Warrior Portrait Project. And Colin's been on our show a number of times, and the work he does is beautiful. And from what I hear, it's very healing to family and friends who are left behind. And yeah, you're right. I would encourage anybody who has young kids, go and let them see these pictures of these real life heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let me wrap up. I know you guys want to get back to bashing liberal educational institutions, and by golly, I'm 100% behind you on that one. So I will leave it with our website is dfwrees.com. Our Facebook is DFW-Rees, and through Friday, you can sponsor one wreath, and 2 wreaths will be sent to the DFW National Cemetery.
Love it. Love it. So $15 will get you 2 wreaths. You just can't beat that with a stick.
No,
Absolutely.
and I
Well,
love
no,
that.
you can, because $75 will get you 10 wreaths.
There you go. There you go. I love
So you're
it.
beating
You
it with
did.
10x.
Thanks, Chuck. We love you. We appreciate you, and we're so glad you're part of the crew and part of the JPK Broadcasting Network. And can't wait to see the show again and being here with you guys on Saturday.
Outstanding. We're looking forward to it. You guys continue to keep the message going.
All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Thanks,
Chuck. God bless, brother.
All right.
So, Kathy, you know, and to take the show out today, I think we need to end on a high note.
Yes.
And I'm going to send something over to
That
Shambrio.
was a high note. That was a high note too,
Oh,
though.
that's I want to keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going.
I want to keep it going.
We're not going to
right?
go back to the negative. We've done enough of that today.
Enough complaining.
And we'll have more on Friday.
Yeah, well, plenty,
we'll
I'm
have
sure.
more on Friday.
But to take us out on a good note, and I'm going to send this over to you, Shambrio. Bree, if you will put this up on the big screen, because I'm going to melt Kathy's heart when I do this.
So it's not a picture of a clown?
It's a picture of a clown that says, "Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. I'm your friendly clown." First of all, NHL is kicking off their season today.
Yes, that is good
Super
news.
excited about that. Why? Because nobody in the NHL took a knee when the national anthems
No,
played.
and somebody said one day, well, is that because in their uniforms they really can't? No, because some
No,
of them
they
are
take
over
a knee all the
there
time.
with. I was going to say so we've got like 165 days straight of hockey, don't we? Something like that.
I see what you're saying, Shambrio.
Don't we have like 165 days of hockey coming up?
We do.
Something like that.
We do. And here's the cool part about it, right? The cool part about it is, again, nobody took a knee. By the way, when I played hockey, if somebody got hurt on the ice, when I was a peewee, we all had to take a knee on the ice.
Gotcha.
So you can take a knee on the ice.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
116 consecutive nights of hockey. That's it. Thank you, Jack Mulos.
And by the way, the NHL is looking at opening up the arenas for live spectators to go in and watch hockey. And so I'm super excited about hockey season kicking off. Dallas Stars should have a prominent run to the Stanley
Go
Cup.
Stars.
Okay, Kathy.
Okay.
That was Kathy's inside voice. Don't tell her. Again, this is Kathy on steroids. And you have been amped up today. I will tell you what.
My blood pressure is through the
There
roof.
is no doubt about it. But and that's all in jest and fun, by the way, folks.
Yes,
And
it's
so-
not fun having asthma.
Now check that one there. So, anyways, point being is that it seems to be the only American sport that didn't take a knee and use the national anthem.
Well, American, we've got Canadian teams, but
Well, but
I know what you mean.
Dallas
But,
Stars were in the
Dallas-
finals. They didn't. Nobody
They
took a knee.
didn't, no.
Canadians didn't take a knee.
No.
Americans didn't take a knee.
Nope.
But now it's become my all-American sport.
Oh, we love hockey. We have
Well, and
really,
I do anyway,
We,
but it's
we've
become
always
my
liked
all-American
it, but
sport.
we just really, just everything about it's good, and it's interesting. We have had some friends post on, our dear friend Chris O'Sullivan, huge hockey fan, and people are posting on Facebook about hey, hockey season, Dallas Stars.
So look at this.
Who is a baby?
So the Mirror ran this article. This adorable pooch has been compared to Disney characters because of its beautiful eyelashes. Look at how pretty the eyelashes are.
Oh, we need a full screen. Yeah, let's get that up on the screen where we
And
can
the
see
puppy
full
is
screen.
absolutely adorable. But it's got eyelashes like me. I've got pretty eyelashes.
Do you have Disney princess
I have
eyelashes?
Disney eyelashes. I've had all kinds of women tell me that my whole life. That's the one good thing I got going
Look
for me.
at
I've
this
got pretty
little
eyelashes.
Baby. Oh.
So isn't that just absolutely adorable?
Oh. What kind of dog is that? Is that like a black lab or?
No, it looks like it's a it's King Charles.
I don't.
Spaniel. Looks like a spaniel to me.
How cute is that little dog?
So, but you got to have stuff like that, right?
Look.
Look at those eyelashes. Do you see how long those eyelashes are?
I love it.
Is that not adorable, Bree?
Okay,
Do you want 10 of them? Bree wants us to buy her 10 of them. The
she's
crew's like, buy 10 dogs now for Bree.
She's like,
Send them to Bree.
no, I've got too much going on.
Now, and then to also send you something, I'm going to send you something else there, Shambrio.
Those are crazy long eyelashes.
Aren't they crazy fun, though? I thought you'd
That's
enjoy
so
that.
cute.
And that kind
I
of brings us back
love
to the
that.
to the awe factor.
To some happiness.
Yeah,
and
versus
some love.
versus the bleh factor.
Yeah.
Now, but this is hilarious. Who would have ever thunk? It's always funny when people ask me, "Can you file a lawsuit for dot dot dot?"
Right.
Well, the answer is yeah. You can file a lawsuit for just about anything. So this man has decided to file a lawsuit and sue the Hawaiian Roll Company. You know the King Hawaiian
Oh,
rolls?
the rolls. Yeah, those are they're kind of sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
This dude
Why?
is suing them because the rolls aren't made in Hawaii.
No. Yeah, you can sue. If you've got money, you
yeah.
can sue anything
So
for
this New
anybody
York
for
State
anything.
man has filed a class action suit stating that they say that, and I'm not going to say this right, Hilo, made in Hilo, Hawaii, features Hilo, Hawaii. Well, the reason why it was featured is because that's where it began. These
Okay.
rolls began in a bakery in Hilo, Hawaii.
Right.
Then they moved to Honolulu.
And then they've replicated them here in America.
Well, no, what happened is that they shut down that factory in Honolulu because it's expensive
Right.
to do stuff in Honolulu, right? It's
Right.
in Hawaii, period. So they brought it to Torrance, California. And so the guy's like, dude, these rolls are from Torrance, California. They're not from Hawaii. And then he cites the fact that the King Hawaiian Company has sued other companies to make sure they don't use the word Hawaiian because they had trademarked that.
That's the exclusive for their rolls.
Right.
Well, okay.
But it's like, dude, they don't have to make, it doesn't say we guarantee it's made in Hawaii. But just so that you know, any fool can file a lawsuit.
So there you go.
Here's what's sad. The King,
Those are good though.
Oh, they're way good.
There's those, and you can make
Way
little
good.
sliders. We've made sliders before.
I
With,
like making little ham and cheese sandwiches.
I was gonna
out of
say
it.
ham and Swiss cheese and a little bit of mayo, and then put that in the oven. Those are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but here's the sadness. The sadness of this is that a lawsuit like this could cost the King Hawaiian Company upwards of $10,000-$15,000 just to begin the defense of this lawsuit. So then they've got to gauge it. Is it better to pay this dude off and have him go away?
And who is he that it bothers him that much?
It's pretty sad.
It doesn't bother me. They're good. If you like the rolls, buy them, get them. They say Hawaii because, okay, that's where it was started, and they're that sweet Hawaiian roll. That's just a different kind. It's like cornbread. You have a certain,
Yeah.
you know, you think of a certain taste and texture when you think of cornbread. Biscuits, same way.
Yep.
Hawaiian rolls, same way.
Yeah.
Dude, how did he even?
Who knows?
Who has time to research that?
I ain't got no time for that.
I don't know. That's
ain't got no
crazy.
time for that.
That's crazy.
The house is burning. My slippers are in the closet. I'd wear that with my shoes.
Well,
I had no time for that.
I don't get where.
I loved that video, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Chambrielle, can you bring that YouTube up? I got no time for that. Come on, Bree, you can do it.
Was it, that lady? I think we played that before
we
on
have.
the
When it
radio
came-
show.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious.
But I
hope she's still doing well.
seriously.
She had her own barbecue sauce.
Oh, I love it.
House was on
See,
fire.
I don't get it. Oh, that's funny. That's America. That's great.
I made that up.
Oh, that would be great though.
If it was called that, how cool would that be?
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
How about the version? You can do a
what-
version of barbecue
yeah,
sauce.
so Nathan
House
says,
slippers are
what
gone.
about Texas toast? Yeah. And I'm sure there's
It
probably
better be
Texas
made here.
toast that's not made in Texas.
Nathan, we need to file a lawsuit.
It's all good. Yeah, Nathan, get on top of that. We're about to.
I guess
we're all micro and macro aggressed.
See, but here's my big question, right? What are your damages?
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
They don't
does
talk
it
about
hurt
the
you?
damages. I don't know. And I mean, is it monetary? Or
Do you
want
go into the
rolls for
grocery
life?
store and you're in the bakery section and you cry? You get micro or macro aggressed, I guess.
I guess.
And speaking of micro and macro aggressed, because they did use that term in Cobra Kai, cannot highly recommend Cobra Kai. This last season, phenomenal. Had me cheering. We just finished it yesterday. Watch Cobra Kai.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
Eagle
Cobra
Fang
Kai.
Karate. Okay, just saying.
Okay, stop. I haven't gotten to watch it yet. I'm still watching the 100. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
You gotta watch
designated
it.
driver. Well, designated survivor.
Designated driver.
I call it the designated driver.
Oh, that's funny.
I do. Yeah, I can tell you're
I
amped
knew
up.
what
It
you were
wasn't
talking
that
about.
funny.
Yeah, it is.
So, Coach Quigley, thank you, by the way. He is buying a wreath, and the second one will be for his
Yeah,
grandchildren.
I love that. I love that.
And you could also be a part of that ceremony, Coach, where they go out and they lay wreaths out on the gravesites.
And you can take the kids. Your grandkids are old enough to where you could take them out there for a little bit of time, and it's just very powerful when you lay those wreaths out there. Then there's also, like, a few weeks later, there's a cleanup and everything. So and now they didn't this year, but in past years that I've gone out there, they have a big ceremony and a flyover.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Bree, I want us to capture
Oh, she was
a piece of it, and I
funny.
want us to play this because I'm going to have a segment. I ain't got no time for this with Congress.
Oh, okay. No.
So you got to play this, Bree. We got to hear this. This is way too good. If you've not heard this or seen this, here you go. This is
I
way
woke
fun.
up to go get me a cold pop, and then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, "Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire!" Then I
Love this.
ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life, and then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I love that lady.
I
love her.
need that clip cut. So because when we talk Congress,
That's what we're gonna say.
I'm gonna say this is I ain't got no time for that segment. Bam. She was hilarious. She was a great interview, by the way, on Oprah and on Ellen. Just a sweet, genuine woman. And fun.
Yeah. I was gonna say if
So-
she had done a barbecue sauce business, I would order that
She
online.
has a barbecue sauce business.
For real?
I think it's sweet. Is it Sweet Brown or Sweet Mama Brown's or something like that? No, she has a barbecue. Seriously,
Somebody find that out. I'll
she
order it.
debuted it on. I want to say Oprah. I think.
Good for her. I love
I
it.
think maybe it was Ellen.
Turn
I'm not
a
sure.
YouTube moment into a business. Only in America.
But I would have called it Sweet Jesus barbecue sauce. Because Jesus saved her. But anyways, I digress. It is funny, though. Nathan says, what about Texas Toast? Coach Quigley, what about Jersey Mike's?
Oh, then we've got...
Nathan goes, what about Long Island iced tea?
Is Long Island iced tea in danger? Oh, no. If you're not making it in Long Island, can you call it Long Island iced tea?
Call it Long Island. I'll tell you what.
Boy, Long Island iced tea. It's been a long time since I've had one of those, probably since like right after college. One of those...
And you're done. Huh?
That either get me a karaoke machine or a bed.
That's funny. We'll get you a karaoke machine. So Michelle says she's barely started watching The Mandalorian. Here's the
I'm
thing
not
before
saying a
Kathy.
thing.
I was about to say before Kathy
Nope.
says anything.
Zip it.
You got to get through the first like four segments or 4 shows. It kind of starts a little slow for me.
What? The Mandalorian?
Yeah, the first season, the first 4.
Blasphemer.
No, it just started kind of slow, but I punched through it, and after 4, it gets a lot better. It picks up the
I think it's
pace.
good from the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I know. I stuck with it. But anyways,
And she said baby. Her Nathan
everybody
says
have
baby
a blessed
Yoda
day,
steps.
and we are heading out. We will see
We
you
love
on
y'all.
Friday. Be safe out there, and take
God
care.
bless you. Pray for our country. Pray for America. Love y'all. Mwah.